Welcome to Practically Tactical, episode 76, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. The Practically Tactical show is a slightly more practical approach to the firearms lifestyle. The show features a roundtable discussion about guns, gear, shooting, and after-action reports with some of the, I'll say, the best shooters, the best on this show, the best ever in the firearms industry. That's obviously a joke. We'll get onto that here in a second. For more information on the show, links to our guest guns and gear we discuss, and of course, the link to this, basically the AAR of this show, please visit practacpodcast.com/076. On this episode, I'm joined by Jesse from Forest City Tactical to talk about our trip over, I guess it might be, to Michigan to our classes with training with MDFI. We're also going to discuss getting kicked out of Applebee's, almost shooting a dude as soon as we show up to our hotel room, and homeless people and hookers. Does that about cover our trip there?
Oh man, good times. Good times
were had. But for you guys out there, a little bit different episode. We're going to be talking after action reports for the two classes we took with I hope everybody out there has listened to the shows with Keith and Trek from MDFI. We went out there this past weekend. We took the You Suck, It's Not the Gun and Foundation Handgun. Awesome classes. We're going to be breaking them down and discussing them. If there's anyone out there on YouTube watching right now, if you guys got any questions or anything, please throw them in the chat and we will answer those as well. So I do have a couple show notes here before we get into it. Something that has been working for in the works for a little bit. I've gotten a couple requests about a Patreon. I know a lot of the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network do that as well. We are starting to do one of those here on Practically Tactical, but what I want to do is I really wanted you guys' input and feedback, and I tried making a Facebook post, and I even paid money to promote it, and nobody saw it, and it's been a pain. So what I wanted to do is if you guys could please visit the show notes or visit our Facebook page. The pinned post on our Facebook page has me asking you guys for feedback on doing a Patreon account, or if you visit the show notes, there's a link to it. Or if you don't have either of those, just email me, nick@firearmsradio.tv, and your thoughts on a Patreon. I really like your guys' input. The goal of the Patreon would be to obviously make the show better, but it's actually incorporate you guys into the show, whether it be show notes, viewing, adding to show notes, getting your specific questions answered, even coming on the show. So I really want your guys' feedback on setting up a Patreon account. So again, I'll put the link in the show notes. Also, it's pinned on our Facebook page. So if you guys could please check that out, I would really, really appreciate getting some feedback from you guys on a Patreon. Also, Practically Tactical On Target will be restarting and releasing soon. There's going to be a little bit of a reboot in that, a little bit of changes on that as well. We'll be jumping into some product review stuff. So if you guys aren't subscribed to Practically Tactical On Target, go do so. And new episodes will be dropping this week, actually, the week that we're recording this show. I'm recording On Targets as well, so do that. So we don't have any operation report. No new gear has come out recently. So we're going to jump right into it here with Jesse from Forest City Tactical. Jesse, dude, thanks for coming on. Thanks for going with me out to these classes.
Oh man, it was a blast, dude. I'm so glad we made the trip for sure.
Oh, worth it. I think everybody listening here will get that out of the show because, man, it sounds kind of corny to say life changing, but for us, obviously being shooters, and for everybody listening, shooting is a part of our life. That's kind of the way we are, and it changed my shooting, which is part of an immense part of my life. And that's why, man, we're going to get into it here, but it was a life-changing event. And you're muted. Okay. So let's go ahead and move it on here. I'm going to just give you guys some basic information here about the class. So it would have been June 6th and 7th. We traveled out to Bellevue, Michigan at Central Line out there for the MDFI You Suck, It's Not the Gun, and then Foundation Handgun the following day. So the first class on Saturday, the second class on Sunday. So out there for those classes, and then real quick here, Jesse, let's throw the gear to them what we ran, and if you want to, why don't you go first? You want to rock through what gear you rocked? I know, and that's an inside joke for everybody out there from the last show.
Yeah.
You want to show us what gear you were wearing?
Yeah, I just we'll start with the belt. I had an SOE Rigid 1.5, their Cobra belt. It ran great, no issues there. I ran our Sheepdog inside the waistband, non-light bearing model. Another, again, just ran flawless throughout the entire class. I ran...
You carried an appendix.
Yeah, correct. And also appendix, I carried our single inside the waistband mag carrier as well. And then I threw a double outside the waistband mag carrier on the outside back, just for to hold basically spare mags throughout the class, and just to kind of refill the appendix carry pouch here.
Okay, and you were rocking a Glock 19
Correct.
with a very shiny barrel.
Correct. Glock 19 with the tin-coated barrel has the OC custom trigger in it. The trigger ran flawless throughout the weekend. Really like the trigger. The tin coating, again, flawless. I mean, I'll be doing some cleanup photos on that, the before and after on that. I mean, like I said, I could almost just feel the gun running smoother throughout, you know. I mean, it just started to break down all the internals and everything. It was running pretty flawless. And I'll talk about getting to some of the malfunctions later and kind of where some of those coatings kind of helped out a little bit, I think.
I agree. So for those that haven't been following myself or Jesse on Instagram, and what you need to do, you have to follow us on Instagram, is Jesse just released his PVD coating from 4C Tactical. So for everybody out there that, you know, everybody thinks the Salients have the gold barrels, well, you yourself can get a gold barrel or coat tons of gold stuff or other colors too on your handguns, on your ARs, all sorts of stuff. We're going to talk about that near the end of the show. But that's going to be a big thing we got coming from Jesse from 4C Tactical here. But I will jump into my gear. I had my Glock 17. That is, for those watching on YouTube, tin-coated barrel and extractor and pins and everything else, rocking a TLR-1 on my handgun. And that was actually carried in, I think it's beyond a prototype. It might be maybe a pre-production inside the waistband light bearing model, which again, that'll be dropping hopefully here soon from Jesse at 4C Title, which is an awesome, ridiculously awesome holster. I don't know if I can, I'll just blaze it through the screen real quick. Worked flawlessly as well. I think there might be maybe another generation coming after this. Then of course I rocked his I will stop saying rocked. I swear I will stop saying it. I was using his inside the waistband. What he just actually, that just dropped today on your website, I believe.
Yeah, just put it on today.
His inside the waistband,
put some T&E through it.
Yeah, his inside the waistband single mag carrier, which worked flawlessly, and then of course I also had his outside the waistband double mag carrier as well for extra mags. I had the Tough Products easy to feed Ranger belt, which again worked awesome as usual. Rudy Project glasses, and of course I think the number one thing we had our Endo apparel can't even patches, which just, you know,
no, I was surprised by that. With all the Endo, I still didn't shoot better. God damn
it. So we're gonna jump into it here. But maybe before that, kind of. So our first class was "You Suck, It's Not the Gun." So walking into this class, Jesse, you know, what were you thinking? Because I think we were kind of thinking along the same things, but what were you kind of thinking before the class started, walking on into it?
I mean, they describe this as a beginner class. So, you know, basically, I mean, it's how to shoot your gun, you know? So walking into this class, I was figuring like, yeah, you could definitely tighten some stuff up. You're always going to take something away from it. But I pretty much thought we would walk through day one with really like nailed it, you know, like no problem. I don't know. What do you think? What did you think walking in?
Yeah, rolling in, you know, it was like, okay, we're going to go in, you know, we might learn a few little things here and there, you know, and, you know, I'm going to roll in there and just do really good, you know, be like, oh man, that Nick and Jesse guy, they're squared away dudes. You know, they're shooters, man. They are shooters. They're good to go. And that lasted for about 5 minutes. That class. But no, I expect, obviously I've worked with them before and I have a good rapport with them. I know they're really fun guys and, you know, they don't take stuff, you know, too seriously, which, you know, I think some instructors really can, you know, get really hardcore on different aspects of it. But I expected to have a good time, which I definitely did. I think I was blown away by that first day. I was really, you know, I was cut off at the knees, we can say. But you know, I expected to roll in, have a good time. I thought I was going to do extremely well for myself. And yeah, that was a little different. Also, actually, one thing I need to point out too is I should have mentioned this earlier is, holy cow, there were a ton of listeners there, especially at the first class. Holy cow. I was humbled by that. It was awesome to see that there were so many listeners there. There was Matt, Joe, I think another Nick there. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of names. Tim. Man, there were so many more people there that all knew of the show, were listeners of the show. So it was awesome. Doug was another one. There's a bunch more people out there that I can't remember. The first day and the second day was awesome. So it was really awesome to see a bunch of show listeners there. And that was really cool. And of course, you know, I think I have the best listeners in the world because obviously they're involved in training. That means they obviously want to become better shooters. They want to become better, responsible citizens in this country. And that is awesome. But yeah, I was blown away. And I think somebody was like, your voice sounds familiar. that was a lot of fun. So let's jump into the You Suck. So we'll talk the first drill. Simple drill of, we did the 10 rounds, 7 yards, just a piece of paper with a dot on it. Sounds simple, right? And did up. I don't have my piece of paper group on me. I did that first drill and I was like, okay, if that's the worst that I do, man, I'm going to be smoking class. I'm going to be rolling through. But you kind of, first drill didn't go that great for you, right?
No, I mean, yeah, all the hits are on the paper. It's just a piece of paper out there. And like you said, you're 7 yards. It seems pretty simple. And you just want to make the smallest group possible, you know? And like I said, my group definitely wasn't as small as I would have liked on that one. Yeah, like I said, not terrible, but you don't know what, like I said, what you're expecting at this drill. So you walk up and you're like, meh, you know, like, meh, you got some stuff to tighten up, but no, you don't really know what's coming at this point. So like you said, I don't know. What do you want to talk the next set of elements of what we got into, or?
Yeah, so maybe too is something we need to address too would be, so the class, it is, maybe it's not the right term, advertised as a beginner class, but it is fundamentally focused on shooting. It is fundamentally focused on putting rounds on target accurately. Now, we also need to mention that there's defensive shooting, and then there is, you know, accurate shooting, the type that we were doing. So
right. The motto of the class of the day is you have all the time in the world. It's basically, well, yeah, what is the actual that we wrote down? It's not you have all the time in the world, but it's there
is no time limit.
Yep, no time limit for the day. So this is something that again, taking other classes and, you know, getting into these high-speed rolls, this is something that you really get past right off the bat. You know, it's like everybody wants to be that guy that can draw from under a second and put 5 rounds on target, you know what I mean? But the key is, like, can you be at 7 yards and someone be like, hey, shoot that dime right there, 1 shot, no alibis. And this is the difference, and really starting to put yourself back into this, like I said, original mindset of breaking it down to 2 elements, and that's, yeah, your trigger squeeze and your sight picture. And before we get into any of that, one thing I really want to touch on is, I mean, the class atmosphere and Trek and Keith, you know, the 2 instructors of this course. Awesome dudes. I mean, that is really, there's nothing better to say than these guys are just, they're fantastic. Not only are they knowledgeable, they're squared away. I mean, they're super safe dudes, but they give this class an atmosphere. Like, showing up, me and Nick were really talking about, like, you know, we're going to have to be the jokester guys off the bat to kind of loosen up the group, you know, because you always get to these classes and it's always, no one talks for like the first hour, you know, everyone just kind of hangs out with who they came with, you know, no one's really around. And right off the bat, that was not the case showing up to this range. You immediately felt like family. I mean, most of the people there had already taken a class. And like I said, for the, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us that hadn't taken an MDFI class before, you immediately felt like you were in a place to learn, like, and in a, like, an ego-free zone, you know? Like I said, there wasn't your getting yelled at high speed, you know, like I said, it was really just a joking atmosphere. It was fun. I mean, there was no one yelling over your shoulder like you suck. I mean, everything was put on yourself, wouldn't you say, Nick? Like everything was really, you told yourself you sucked basically by the end
Yeah.
of that day. Like,
Yeah, that was especially the thing with the class is it was eating humble pie by like the shovels, but you wanted more of it. You wanted more of it because I mean, just the way the atmosphere was, along with the curriculum, along with the drills we did, along with just I mean, everybody wants to do good. I mean,
yeah, if
like
you're not
that meme that started floating around of the guy standing next to me. Oh yeah, we're in a competition. If there's a guy standing next to me in a class, we're shooting competitively. You might not know it, but I'm shooting competitively against you.
and there's where a lot of the pressure comes from. There's no shot clock. There's no nothing like that. It's you have students standing behind you, watching you. You have your students left and right watching you, and then you have your instructor standing there watching you. So yeah, you don't want to, like I said, miss a single round. And I mean, you want to literally just keep stacking these bullets. And if you're not doing that, then you're not good. Like, you know what I mean? That's the key there. But like I said, you start to take it over, I don't know, kind of a scale. Like, we get into a mindset of going to these local ranges and you see, like I said, Joe Bob standing next to you, shooting 10 yards at, a silhouette, and he's just all over the place. And he walks away like, yeah, if that was a person, he'd be dead. Well, like I said, when you start taking accountability of every single bullet, and knowing that you have that discipline to be able to literally just stack that round on top of round, it's like, if you're not striving to get to that point, like, you're wrong. You're training in the wrong way kind of at that point. So like Nick said, it was really humbling. I mean, and I think that was for everybody. Let's talk about the total badass. Like, I'm forgetting his name, and forgive me, but there is one student. I think this was his third time through the class.
Are you talking about the 1911 guy?
No. This is support hand
Brad,
only.
sorry.
Yeah, Brad runs this class. Support hand only for this. And here's a guy that just putting these simple fundamentals is taking shots and as good as any of us with two hands at this point. So, I mean, it just goes to show you, like. Yeah.
That is, shout out to Brad. He ran both classes. I need to mention too, ran both classes support. So weak hand only folks. And guess what? At the end of these classes, there's a competition for stuff. He got second. Support hand only.
Yeah.
Dude is legit.
And still,
that was something to mention too.
By this class again, like I said, it's every time you're going to go through. I mean, there's a lot of these. This is definitely one of their most popular class. We should mention that too.
Hands down, it is. Yep.
Yeah. So it's filling up as fast as it comes out. So if you get a chance, jump on it. And like I said, I can see why people want to take this class again, because it's like you want to come back and show them, like, no. Okay. The first time I wasn't that good, but this time, like, and you come back and like I said, every time it's just that humbling feature there. And I mean, I'm so glad we took that class before the fundamental the next day, because like I said, you really seen everything come back. I mean, as much as I've shot my handgun and as much as I've done with it, like I said, that class almost made me go back to like the day you bought a handgun. Like, yeah, you've been doing it wrong since that day, basically, like go back, rework it, because you just see everything. Like I said, you get into a mindset of like, oh, it's okay that I put six rounds in a target 3 inches, at 10 yards. That's good. It's like, no, that's not good, because like I said, start to translate that over distance at a time. And you start really looking at, that's another thing about this class. They put everything into a nice real world perspective with real world stories, real world background. And they give you the options. Like, if you've been doing it one way, they're not going to try to change the way you've been doing things, because they know that they're not going to do that in 6 hours with you or 8-hour class. They know that you're going to immediately leave and go back, but they will tell you why they think this is the way. And then they're going to show you during it why. And it's a no-brainer at that point. Like I said, a lot of it was just slowing yourself down, I think, was a huge thing I had a problem with. I was so used to just go fast, and that was the thing of the classes. 10 rounds should take you 3 minutes if you have 3 minutes, and you have all day. 10 rounds could take you 10 minutes if you wanted to, and there wouldn't have been a person there that judged you on that. That was the difference. Like, you start getting into these, like Nick said, you get into that competition mindset that you want to see the smallest group on the paper, you know, like it comes down to almost like a precision rifle class at this point, where it's all yourself. That's who you're competing against at the end of the day. And I mean, there was students from every background, I mean, every walk of life, every firearm out there. Like I said, it wasn't just a Glock fest with the, you know, a bunch of tactical dudes running their gun fast. Like, totally not the case at all on this. And like I said, that was just I mean, totally different than anything I've ever done. That was an awesome class.
Yeah. Well, and something I want to mention too was, I like how they talked about, you know, we're big boys and girls, we're going to play by big boys and girls rules. And that was something too, you know, obviously it's been 2 years. That's something else I should jump into of, you know, it's been 2 years since my last training, and skills are so perishable, which I learned, but that's another story. Where was I going with that? I don't know. Skills are perishable now. Skills are perishable. I don't remember where I was going with the other point. So I don't know. But
you're doing it wrong. That's the thing. Like, I mean, let's talk like round count for this class. Okay. I think they advertised the round count at about 350, somewhere in there. 300. 300. So what would you say we shot that day? About 150 rounds?
150 rounds. Yeah.
But you were shooting all day. I mean, it wasn't breaking from shooting, but every single bullet counts at this point. So when you're doing it, you shoot 10 rounds, but like I said, every single bullet counts. It's not burning down a target. It's not, trying to get those hits as fast as possible. It's trying to make the best hits, because when you start, like, you know, going over that distance, that's where, you know, that really, really comes into play. I mean, they say during the course, it's like, look at your Walmarts, look at your aisles, you know, it's like, I mean, those are far shots. It's not like you have a rifle in these situations, you know, so it's really making those hits count, you know. Like they say, another point that really hit home for me is, you know, if you stop 2 active shooters at the mall and kill a kid, it cancels itself out. You did nothing that day, you know. You did worse than you did better, you know. So I think that was a big humble factor for me there too. Like, you need to be able to, like I said, make all those hits, make the hits exactly where you want them, not a little high, not a little low and to the left, like, you know, and call that like, close enough. Like, no, it needs to be right where you put it every single time, you know. And that was just a huge point that you forget. Like I said, it's just going back to the basics. And that was what I really, really liked about this class.
No, and some too is the majority of shooting we did in this class, we're talking 1.5 yards to 7 yards. Literally, that's the majority of the shooting that we did. And again, too, obviously, like, you know, at 1.5 yards and 3 yards, all my shots were grouped. However, you could still see that slow, minimal, but still slow transition of low left. And so, but, you know, when you shoot at 7 yards, guess what? That low left and your group drifts. So you got to think to yourself, if you're doing that at 7 yards, what does it look like at 50 yards? You know, what does it look like at 100 yards? So if your group is, you know, moves a quarter of an inch or half an inch at 5 yards, what's going to be at 100? So that's really where you got to funnel down those fundamentals of shooting, which was fantastic in this class. You know, so it's not putting you at some extreme. It's not putting something you can't do. You can, you know, people can shoot. I saw Keith do it. Put a freaking, you know, center, 3 rounds right there at 7 yards. You know, it can be done if you apply the fundamentals correctly. And if you don't, you will eat humble pie all day.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing about it is they show you it's easy to do. At 1.5 yards, it's no problem to stack rounds. At 3 yards, again, easier, you know, but you're starting to see, like, like you said, maybe one goes off or it's not right on top of, you know. Then you get to 5 yards and it's like, oh my gosh, what changed between there? And that's what they show you is nothing changes. It's all mental. And the thing about it is, you start going, it's like first round's good, second round's good. oh, you got too antsy, you did something, you anticipated a little bit, and bam, that third round's off. And now it's in your head. It's hard to let that go. And that's another thing about this. You have to let that round go. It's gone. It's out of the barrel, You got to focus on that next round and shake it out, and put it back to where the other rounds were. And I think that was another, just a hard part for me was, like I said, getting in my own head there and, man, just really stepping back and slowing everything down. And
yeah, well, and here's obviously we're not going to tell everybody all the drills we did because number one, you have to go take this class.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're interested in the You Suck It's Not the Gun class, the next two they already have, next three they already have listed on their course schedule are full. Like literally, when they announce their schedule, you need to sign up for this class. It done. But I think there were two drills. I'm going to talk about two drills that we did that literally, sweep the leg, Johnny. Like you were standing up and then you were down. And the number one, well, maybe I'll talk about 2.5. So we first had the setup of the brass on the front sight, which
most people have done.
We passed that flawlessly. Like, okay, no problem.
And they've done that. Yeah, it's a common thing. Like I said, no problem on it.
Easy. Now take this for the drill we did. We did the unknown condition drill where, so me and Jesse were partners and I believe, I went first. So I was shooting first. So I took my handgun, gave it to Jesse. Jesse put it in an unknown condition. So when I was giving it back, all safely, of course, for those that are worried, when I was giving it back, I did not know if it was loaded or unloaded. And I think we were shooting at 5 yards on that drill. I want to say 5 yards. 5 yards circle. And about a 2-inch circle. So imagine being handed a gun and then, press out, told to go and shoot. Do you think you have a flinch or don't you have a flinch? That is what you will find out doing that drill. Man. You're sitting there and you're ready to shoot, you're ready for that recoil, and nothing would happen, but your gun would move, and you're like, oh man. And I mean it's not like a little when you do it. You're going, oh. And then of course just how fun the class is. You got Keith back there talking about, oh, you're Yankopotamus back there. I can't remember what name did they call you when you did it.
No, he told me I was jerking it like a brisk young man. Yeah.
Like a 14-year-old virgin. But that was one of the drills where that is an honesty drill. And
man.
That was really a theme for the whole class, was being honest with yourself. Self-diagnosis was another huge part of the class, but it was also giving you all the tools to correct everything.
Yeah, I would say that was man. That drill for me, I mean, you like Nick said, it's either loaded or unloaded. It's 50-50 on this, So what's funny about it is you would aim out and it would go bang and you'd get your hit right in the circle like how you wanted. But yeah, like he said, when it wouldn't go bang, that was the biggest thing. Like they said, there's the brass drill, which is supposed to do the same thing, but there's a difference knowing that the gun's not going to go bang and thinking the gun's going to go bang. And that's where, man, like I said, better than putting dummy rounds in and running, that, like I said, that had sort of the same effect, but nothing like unknown condition right there, because that was loaded, unloaded, and it's one round. And, like I said, that shot matters. So you got to put it right where it needs to go. And you're front sight, you're thinking front sight, you're thinking trigger squeeze, and then you're also anticipating recoil, and you don't know it. And like I said, until you do this, and it really is a humbling drill right there. It made me just take a step back and be like, wow, I suck. It's not the gun. Yeah, it is just me.
Yeah, and then the other drill that was definitely along the same way, again, really giving you a honest opinion of, or not even opinion, straight honesty of how you're shooting and what you're doing when you're shooting, was the dummy round drill. Which is, again, simple, easy to do, but it was, man, it was one of those where like, wow, I've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said you always just shoot maybe maybe an inch off, maybe a quarter inch off, maybe, you know, and it all is little things you're doing. Like, that's where this whole class comes from, is, you know, people being like, oh, I need to adjust my sights, or I need to shoot a little low, or I need to do that. You know, it's like, no, it's nothing it's what you're doing there. If you put the sights on the target and, you know, squeeze the trigger, it'll go there, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think when you start to really see what you're capable of, when you start really shooting small targets, you know, and I think that's where it really drives, like, man, you can do it, you know. Especially, like I said, they show you a yard and a half, it's no problem. I mean, you're looking at this tiny thing like, okay, no, you know, but take that back to 3 and then 7, and it's like 7 was just like the humbling line of doom. Like, you just started to walk back to 7 like regretting everything, like, no. And I think a lot of it, like I said, a lot of us like to get in our head, like, you know, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. And then, like I said, you get out there and it's like, do it then right now. And it's like, oh, you just lose it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you get up there and it's like you're running it through and you're thinking about it and you're like, and then you don't do it, you know? And it's like, oh, and that's it. Like, that was the big thing, is there's no alibi. There's no coming back to it and saying, like, it's all you right at that point, you know? And I think that's where this class really just brought me back to a fundamental level of, you know, you need to be able to account for every single round. I know I keep transitioning that, but that's a big thing that we get away from, you know? And I think a lot of guys are like me. They would go out and, I mean, I would shoot a lot more ammo than that at the range, but I never walked away from 150 rounds so knowledgeable, you know, like, wow. I mean, mind blown, you know? And I think that was the thing. It was how they laid it out to you, how they explained it to you, and gave you just all the tools. They show you that, you know, stance, you can be on one foot. It doesn't matter. The gun can be upside down. You can pull the trigger with a marker. It doesn't matter, you know? It's just, it's you. Your gun will do it. So that was, again, man, just a very humbling class for sure. I think anyone could take it. I think there would be some high-speed guys out there that would have a lot of trouble with that class, you know, because it's just it's a totally different game, you know. It's different than all these, like I said, cool guy classes like that, you know, shooting from vehicles and rolling around in your body armor. And I mean, you know, like I said, that'll come, but it's getting back to the basics of it, and that's where this class really drives that home. I mean,
well, I'm gonna steal a line from our good friend Steve Fisher. There's a video out, I believe, on Firelance Media's YouTube channel where they have a trailer for a low light vehicle class, and in there he's talking on parts of the video. And this is immediately what I thought of during the class was, you know, he talks about, like, you know, there's no such thing as their advanced classes. There's you know, there's different stuff, but basically everything comes down to sights and triggers. And that's what I think really this class was about, was the mental aspect, sights and triggers. You get that mental aspect down of those, you're good to go. I think that's it. But, you know, something too I want to point out, and this might be hard for the podcast listeners, but I want to just show this to the YouTube people that are watching. And I'm going to try to explain to the podcast listeners this. So right now I'm holding up a piece of paper. There is we'll say a 2-inch dot, 1-inch dot, and then there's a little dot the size of a pencil eraser, the top of it.
What's basically the size of a 9mm round.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Jesse, I'm going to set you up for this because you know the answer. What's the difference between this big target and this little target?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. So if you want to know the answer to that question, you're going to have to take the "You Suck, It's Not the Gun." You're going to, you have to.
Guys, I seriously not recommend this class enough. Like I like Nick said, I hate to use the term life-changing, but it really is. It brings you back to such a humble level with your gun that you look at everything in a different light from that. And I mean, we'll talk about it a little more coming up, but going into day 2, that was huge. And I mean, you could see it from the guys that showed up ready for just, you know, the next day fundamental handgun, and the guys that had taken the day before class, because it really drives home the fact that, yeah, like Nick said, it all comes down to sights and triggers at the end of the day, and being responsible for each and every single round. So yeah, go take You Suck, It's Not the Gun. Great class. Like I said, MDFI, Keith Trek. I mean, they put on an awesome show.
Yeah, I mean, I walked away. So we'll kind of wrap it up on this class. I walked away feeling, I mean, not terrible, but no, I shouldn't say terrible. I felt great after the class. I mean, I walked away with my mind blown, but I definitely felt like I was back at where I needed to be to learn better, if that makes sense at all. Because I think I needed to be knocked down a little bit. I needed to be, I needed my legs cut out from under me a little bit to get back to those fundamentals instead of, again, we can do, geez, where's my gun at? There it is. We can do all the tin coating. We can do, all the triggers. We can do the OC triggers. We can do the stippling. We can do all this stuff. But if we don't have those two basic fundamentals down, everything we do it doesn't matter what we do to our guns. It's not going to help. And I think that's really what the class brought home, was getting back to those fundamentals, getting back to the basics, mastering the two things that you need to master. The rest will come. The speed will come. The looking good, the drawing under a second, all that stuff that we had worked on before, that stuff will come if you can do your sights and triggers first. Because if you don't hit your target, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fast you can draw your gun. It doesn't matter what stuff you do to your gun. If you don't hit your target, it doesn't matter. That's, I think, what I walked away from with that class.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it was a humbling class. It brought me back to, starting shooting a gun again, just wow.
All like I don't know how many handgun rounds I put down range, 10, 15,000. I wish I had all of them back so I could kind of redo it.
Yeah, because I feel like, in 300, you could have made a significant difference with just, going back to, like I said, getting those bullets to stack on each other. And I think besides that, like I said, it was, man, just a great environment too. Like, the students there were super cool. Everyone was, an awesome person. They had their own reason for being there. I mean, some guys brought their wives, some guys brought, their girlfriends out, and they were running the class. Like I said, there was people running guns, and I think it was a good gear validation for a lot of people. I think a lot of people really learned about their gear, and I think seeing good gear, that's another thing. They got to really promote good gear there, and I think, the alumni really, they get a lot of perks out of that. Like I said, there's a lot more perks to going with MDFI than just, the knowledge that you get out of the class. You walk away with a whole new skill set. I mean, you take all the tools home to go home and really drive home those simple facts. That's another thing with some of these classes. It's like you get into stuff that you can't realistically do at an indoor range or something like that, and it's like for people that only have access to things like that, you could have done every single thing at, your basic indoor shooting range, like I said, just with 50 rounds. Like, and another thing is like dry practice. Like, everyone always says dry practice, dry practice, dry practice. And I was a big advocate of like, you got to practice those reps and blah, blah. And I mean, to a certain extent, okay, yes, but there's nothing like the gun like actually going off. And like I said, it doesn't take a lot of ammo to make, those crucial things. Like I said, taking 50 rounds to the range and just doing a couple of these drills, you're going to walk away set up for the next time, you really drive home simple facts with a lot of those easier drills like that. I mean, it was mind blowing how simple of things that you were doing. And it was so hard. It was like, oh my gosh, like I said, I know a bunch of guys that can shoot great fast and, do all that stuff, but I think they would have had a lot of, humble pie shoved down their throat in this class, and that's what I want to get everybody. Like, that's the thing. If you're listening right now, you better jump on the class, because it's like, I'm telling everyone, like, get in this class, because like me and Nick were saying, I want to get 5 of my buddies to come with me next time so I can really already know, and really drive home like, and show them that you're already better, So,
and again, guys, for everybody out there listening, we've only talked 2 or 3 drills out of many. Are awesome. So you're gonna have to take the class to find out more. I definitely don't want to give away everything that you do with the class, but I can tell you it was a 10 out of 10, hands down recommend on that. And also there's a competition at the end to win some stuff, and there actually in both classes there was multiple opportunities to win different gear from sponsors of MDFI. So again, you could almost win enough gear that you would get the amount of gear free for what you paid in the class. So definitely go check it out. But so we'll move on here. So we wrap up that day. We're feeling kind of crappy about ourselves. So we decide that, well, it's also probably time for some good food, because we got it the night before. had like bar food and just drank a bunch of beer. And then, our hotel. Okay.
Oh yeah, we do got to wrap up for everyone. This was in Battle Creek, Michigan. Okay, this class, the class center line's a little ways away from there, but we were staying in Battle Creek, Michigan. So for those of you who don't know, not the best part of town, I guess. We roll in, and where are we staying? The
Econo Lodge.
Yeah, Econo Lodge. Okay, and right off the bat, as you pull in, you can tell it's kind of a seedy place because, like, the in-ground pool they have is closed and just like, looks terrible. You walk in and like there's a night window and everything's locked up, and you got to talk to this dude through the glass. So we get our room, and as we walk to our room, there's a guy laying about a door down and changing clothes in the hallway at this point. And as we unlock the door, he begins just to lay down like he's going to just sleep there or something like that. So we literally...
That was at the time where both of us were like, okay, hands near the gun.
Yeah, we literally like walk in, we drop off our stuff, and make sure the door's locked. Pretty much anything of value comes with you at that point.
Yeah.
And we headed out to get some food and a couple of drinks, and that pretty much wrapped up that night.
So that was the day before. So we do class, and then we only had that bar food the night before. Had out at center line, they have like some hot dogs. We had hot dogs that day, and I brought some other snacky stuff, and we had bottled water and stuff. So then we wrap it there, like, all right, we got to go out and get some good food, get some actual real cooked food, if that's even a real term, and some beers, of course. So we go to Applebee's because it's, generic. It's easy to find,
and who doesn't love Applebee's?
Yeah. So we go to Applebee's, we order some food, and, we're just having beers. We're at Applebee's for like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. But then our waitress comes up. We're like, okay, another shot of Jameson and 2 more beers. She's like, I know you guys are from Wisconsin, but I can't serve you anymore. That was her exact line. Unless you guys
shout out to Sarah. Food. She was awesome. But, oh, man. Yeah, we got kicked out of the Applebee's. So that's straight Ricky Bobby style, We've been kicked out of nicer places, but no. Yeah, go out to the parking lot, though. Here's a guy sleeping in his car. So he's got his car running. And for those of you that don't know, that's a big no-no, to fall asleep with your car running in the parking lot or anywhere. So, I proceeded to try to wake him up, but he was pretty good out. I first started sternum rubbing him. That's how I started, and he wasn't reacting very well. Hold on.
What is a sternum rub?
So the sternum rub is, you put, your knuckles right here and just start digging in and rubbing up and down, and that'll get some reaction out of him. But this guy, he was 3 sheets for sure. So then I proceeded to just start smacking him awake.
Yep.
And he did wake up at that point. I made him take his keys out of his ignition and throw them in his passenger seat floor.
Yes, and I have all of this on video on my phone too.
It's never to be released, but
So we'll just say that wrapped up that night. We got kicked out of an Applebee's, and then of course we get back to our hotel room, and there's like homeless people everywhere and like hookers outside, and we'll call that a night. So the next day,
we forgot to mention that when we asked about our lodge to locals there, they were talking like that. It got busted weekly for meth bit labs and all sorts of stuff. So we were at this point thinking we were in a pretty seedy place.
Yeah. So wrap up that day. Next day, we were taking the foundation handgun. So this class is definitely a little bit different than the You Suck, It's Not the Gun. Well, the You Suck the Gun was definitely all about accurate shots. This class was more about, defensive shooting shots. So center mass, and then of course we had the little, actually you can see it behind me. There's the target that we shot right there at MDFI on the foundation handgun class. So
starting this day, seeing those targets, I was like, oh, thank God. That circle looked like, 5 miles compared to the circles we were shooting the day before. So I was like, okay, today, and like they say, day 2 is all about getting a little more Ricky Bobby in you and really starting to run your guns, and again, though, humbling, Nick, right? I mean, right off the bat, again, just everything you think you know, when you start to really put it into action and really start, like I said, learning better technique, faster methods, like, yeah, it really hits home. I mean, but yeah, we'll go into like, I don't know, what first drill kind of deal, what we did there.
I mean, first drill was 10 yards, 10 shots, 25 yards, excuse me, center mass on the MDFI Silhouette, which I should mention too. I'm no, you shot an extra one because you can't count, but I should also mention you could tell the people that took the class the day before and the people that didn't. The people that were there the day before shot way better. Like the first thing I noticed right away, especially the first drill and on, you know, putting rounds on target where they needed to be was not an issue at all. You know, the fundamentals that we worked on and got through the next day, you know, I was putting rounds on target where they need to be, you know, at, 10, 25 yards, hitting the little head zone was not a chore. You know, it had made a big difference.
No, and I think that's what really helped, is that you didn't have to think about that anymore. You know, you started to get to implement the other tools, implement, maybe you hit a reload at some point, or, get 5 rounds on it quick, hit a reload and get to something else. Or there was really, getting to think about those transitions instead of still, like I said, you'd kind of ingrained sights and trigger at that point. You'd had it drilled into you, and that was the key of the day before, is you really got to drive home muscle memory on the sights and trigger, having all day. So there's going to be a lot of going back to the You Suck class because like I said, it was great taking both classes, and I highly recommend doing that. If you ever get the chance, go back to back with them, because you'll see a significant difference from day 2. I mean, like Nick said, you could tell the students that just came in, the ones that didn't, because you were placing way better shots. You were doing it faster. I mean, like you said, it wasn't a chore to put them into what seemed like a huge target at that point, because the day before was such just accurate shooting. I think one of the other things is, I mean, you almost felt like mentally drained day 1. You were just, you were concentrating so hard all day long. Like, the sun was beating down, and you had other little things affecting you, but really you were mentally drained because you were just thinking so hard and concentrating so hard. And I mean, every little thing plays in. That's you start to, just get that little wobble, and that's where you start to anticipate and try to catch that round when it gets here, and it's just, it was taxing for sure. But day 2, like it was, stepping it up. This was getting the gun out and getting it into the fight, keeping the gun into the fight. So day 2's motto is, you will not accept an unloaded gun. And we'll talk a little about that. You want to touch on that, Nick? Well,
and something too, I also got to mention too, that day, I think there were still 5 or 6 people that came from the You Suck into the handgun class. So about 1/3 of the class of the 1/3 of the second day's class was people that came from before. But we still had 2/3 of new people. And again, there was a bunch of listeners again. Totally surprised again. So it was really, again, awesome for all those guys that I met at Foundation Handgun that I didn't meet at the You Suck class. Awesome to see you dudes out there. And dudes and ladies, again, ladies in both classes, they were doing it too.
Yeah, good shooters.
Yeah. I think, and maybe something too, we'll do a little bit of a pause too, is of something that we learned. We kind of touched on earlier, but the gear validation part, a lot of people, I think there was, a lot of people didn't necessarily have the knowledge of maybe why their gun wasn't set up for as much success as other guns. And I think a lot of them, like the lady that was at the You Suck class, and I mean, she braved on it. She improved hardcore during the class. She had like the double action only Ruger, I think, or no, it was a Smith & Wesson, a double action only Smith & Wesson. Brutal to do. But I mean, she hammered through it. She beat us in the competition.
That's it. We're talking, there's people there with like PF9s. I mean, some of these guns have, you got to think, a huge trigger pull, and you're trying to place, I mean, super, super accurate shots with the handgun at, not terrible far distance, but you got to think 21 feet, and you're sitting there trying to put a hole on top of a hole on top of a hole. And it's like, oh man, these people definitely braved through it. That guy, he was hurting a little bit. He put a glove on halfway through the day.
He did.
That's what I said. I think it was gear validation on a lot of things. I mean, I definitely know that, the stippling was helping out for sure on my gun. It was just made it more comfortable to shoot all day long. It made, the gun grip in your hand a lot better. I could control recoil a lot better. I really like the 10-8 sights. I mean, that fiber optic front sight, I was picking it up like that, no problem. Yeah, the tin coating just ran smooth. So
I would definitely say on the foundation class, not having slide serrations made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So obviously, for those that aren't familiar with getting slide serrations done on their stuff, go listen to Practically Tactical on Target with ATEI, with Doug over at ATEI. I have my Glock 42 done up by him. I got to get this gun to him because I can tell you doing, we'll get into here like admin reloads, press checking before some drills and stuff like that. God, it would be so nice, especially because it rained. The last part of the class, it was raining. And I can tell you, man, having
that's
those
when
slide
we're running
serrations,
malfunctions. Yeah.
we're running malfunction drills during the rain. I cannot stress enough. Slide serrations make such a huge difference.
I say trigger too. Trigger was awesome. That was another big thing because a lot of guys were having to prep their triggers, even in a stock Glock, they're having to prep to that wallage because like I said, you're placing accurate shots. That's the big difference. It's not fighting shots. It's not any of that. It's accuracy shots, bullseye shooting isn't all part of it. And they're going to tell you that, but if you can't do it, that's a whole nother element, so you really have to take, like I said, a step back and really look at yourself as a shooter and be honest with yourself. So I think when it came down to, the trigger, it was really nice. I mean, some guys were running Zevs. Zevs were doing awesome out there. I didn't know for sure. A bunch of guys were picking up Zevs from that class. Me and Nick ran the OC trigger. It ran great. I mean, I absolutely loved it. Like I said, there was one point.
It has Zev internals too, so we have Zev springs with the OC Customs trigger,
V4 race connector.
Yeah, no, the trigger for me. And actually, I should mention too. I don't have my email open, so I'm gonna get up here. I told them about the class, and it's just like, hey, I don't know if how many people that use your trigger have ran it through an actual validation of using it and running it. I said it worked great for us. And they emailed me back, and I actually have a deal for you guys on the triggers here. So if anybody goes to OCCustomTriggers.com, by the way, this ends June 30th, 2015. So you can't get it after. So the end of this month, the end of June 2015, if you go order a trigger, they start at $35, by the way. And Jesse, you're gonna tell people to jump on this. So if you order a trigger and in the special instructions checkout, you mention Practically Tactical, they're gonna upgrade your trigger to the enhanced trigger.
Nice.
If for those that didn't see the install video, I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes. It's been up there before. So if you get the enhanced, is basically the trigger safety is made flat with the trigger, and that sounds like it's not a big deal. But when you shoot it a lot and you can feel the difference, it's huge.
Yeah, so what Nick's talking about here, just to get off the subject, is as you can see there, the plunger's completely flat in there. It goes completely flush. And yeah, like Nick said, I didn't think it was going to be a huge deal, but it really is. It's the difference maker. So that's a good deal. Jump on that.
Yeah, because I believe you save $30 by doing that. $20 or $30. I'm bringing it up right now.
Like 25.
$20. So if you go to OCCustomTriggers.com and you order a trigger, you can get it for all of the Glocks are there, even the 42s and 43s. You order it, and then so you select no thank you on the OC enhanced modification, and then in the special instructions, mention Practically Tactical sent me. Hey, Practically Tactical said I could get an upgrade. Mention Practically Tactical in there. They're going to give you the enhanced trigger upgrade for free. So I can tell you guys, jump on that. You can also, again, order Zev Spring internals with your class, all that type of stuff with it. The triggers ran great. But I think that was a good gear validation. And for a lot of people, I think they learned too. Like a lot of people showed up with I'm talking massive, like the crossbreed hybrid leather backing, than Kydex or some other type of plastic mold front. And they point out during the classes, a lot of those guys were, when you're trying to get that proper grip, which we covered in the foundation handgun, when you're trying to get that proper grip for your draw, they couldn't get their thumb around. They ended up having to lift it up with your fingers and not get your thumb around, which is bad news on a quick drill. Losing that gun, especially raining, would be very, very easy. So I think that was one of the things I noticed too, is a lot of people rock some.
Oh yeah, I seen
odd
like a lot
holsters.
of people were, doing the cloth inside the waistband, but again, trying to reholster that all day. You're really having to squeeze that, I mean, there was some definite trouble with some gear. I think, like I said, a lot of people were walking away from there, seeing the benefits of a good Kydex holster. And yeah, good, good gear check on all fronts. Also belts, belts was a big issue. You're
Yeah, that
carrying a
was
lot
another
of
one.
gear on you, you're putting rounds in your pocket, you're moving around, so I think a lot of people were really looking for a good stiff belt at that point too. They talk about the perfect setup, and that's good belt, good holster, good gun, so you got to be, don't go out and spend $1,000 on your gun and then buy a crappy belt and a crappy holster for it. You got to set yourself up for success. So that was another big part. And like Nick said, we do all this cool stuff to our gun because it looks cool, but it's a tool, and it really helps when you have that, that stipple, and who cares about the resale value, it's like, that's your gun. That's what you use to save your life. I want to be able to,
Exactly.
get in there and strip that mag faster. And if I have to cut these reliefs in there to do that, it's like, that helps me out. I want to be able to get that mag out of the gun and get it back up and fed, because that's what's keeping you alive. You don't know how many bad guys are there that, you have to burn down. So I think, really putting all that cool guy stuff on the gun, like I said, it does serve a dual purpose. And I think a lot of guys, there's a guy that showed up his RMR, and I think he really thought in the beginning that.
Matt's out in the chat.
Yeah.
Matt's out in the chat.
Shout out to Matt.
Oh, I don't know. No, I told Matt that I mentioned this. Matt, you suck. You're terrible. You should throw that RMR away. I'll be nice enough and buy it off you for $20.
Just sell it to me. Just sell it to me.
Just sell it to me for $20. No, he's actually in the chat. We got Steve Fisher here. He was talking about your water heater. He thought that was awesome.
Yep, nice.
He was curious how many
shop, hey.
He wanted to know how many gallons it was, and he wanted to know if you got your fly swatter from Menards.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that was given to me for free down here from the last guy that worked. He was just tired of the flies. I was like, yeah, deal with them, guys. So, But hey, thanks for watching, guys.
Let's get back to the foundation handgun here. And again, too, I think the biggest part was the mental aspect was continuing in the class. Again, obviously, there's physical weapons manipulations, that we're doing, tap rack, bang, or tap rack, unload, reload, rack. There was the mental aspect, but I think what you really got out of the class was putting all that stuff together, and the mental stress that's involved with that of, okay, I need to do an emergency reload. Okay, I need to do an admin reload. Oh crap, there's a problem. What do I do? And all this time that you're processing all this information and processing, these type of reloads or emergencies or whatever, you still have to put rounds down range, which again, the motto of this class was, I will not accept an unloaded gun. Won't happen. I do not accept it. I am getting a loaded gun and I'm getting back into the fight every single time. And what I really liked about the class was it was that mental aspect of individual things, so obviously you work on draw, you get that down. Then we're working on, your emergency reloads. And then, we also worked on actually how to pick up a magazine, which was something that I thought was really great in the class too, of not just bending down and picking it up. Then of course, we talked about on the tactical reloads. And then of course this is going to make some stuff great. We talked about, we actually did Sewell and we did Temple Index in the class.
Boom.
Now I do want to talk about this a little bit. So I had never done Sewell. I've never been a big fan of it. And so just during the class, and that's something too, which I really liked about the foundation class was, you could do stuff. So the draws that we worked in the class were, the different steps that we do. You'll have to take the class to learn. But, once from then and there, it was, okay, here's two hands, do it. Here's one hand. So what I did one hand. I just started doing one hand from concealment draws because, again, I always have kids, or there's usually kids around me. So to me, I was like, I'm going to get more out of this class by just running it one-handed, getting my extra mag with the other hand from concealment. So that's what I ran the whole second day, was everything was concealed, just like I would carry it, and that's how I ran it. And that was really awesome. And maybe we should mention that too, is there were some people there that they mentioned afterwards, they wish they would have ran it with their carry gunner. They wish they would have ran it with their carry setup, because, a lot of people like to bring the outside the waistbands On foundation handgun, not necessarily very important at all on the USUC class, but on the foundation handgun. I hope if you're a concealed carrier, which I hope everybody out there is a concealed carrier, if you take that class, you need to run it as you carry. Now, obviously, you're going to run an extra mag carrier, because you'll just need more magazines and more rounds. But I think it's strictly important. If you take that class, you need to run it how you carry.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
we both did, but I remember hearing several people mention that they did not run it like they carry, or how they didn't bring that other holster, their inside the waistband holster didn't have one.
Well, and I heard a lot of guys like day one that were taking day two ask, like, is it okay if I bring my outside the waistband tomorrow? And they would tell you, like, however you carry your gun, whatever you're going to have when it comes time to use your gun, that's what we want you to use here. So like Nick said, I think it was a big thing to actually get out there and train with the gear that you use and that you carry with daily. If you carry your mags in your pocket, draw that first mag out of your pocket. If you see that it's super hard to get to and it's taking you a lot of time, what's that tell you? Like maybe go back and look into grabbing something, because I for sure, I hate to use Matt as an example again, but shout out to Matt. He was using his mags out of his pocket, going back pocket, Was it the fastest way? No, for sure, but that's how he carried. So, I mean, like I said, I think, and getting out and, like I go back to his RMR, I was using it, because he'd gotten so used to using those sights, and now he had that RMR and it was different. There's more offset, he wasn't used to it. And I think by him taking that first day and then that second day, he was, not even worried about it at that point. He was confident in the red dot. He was confident in using the red dot and making those good hits on target. So it was
because I know Matt will say $700 RMR, $0 mag carrier. He needs one.
Hey,
but
shameless gear plug.
That's right. Just drop today. FortSeaTactical.com inside the waistband mag carriers. So
it worked great.
I think some too, and I'll get back to the search and assess part of the class of the SUL versus the Temple Index, which we covered both. And they both instructed you to do both. You were more than welcome to do whichever you preferred. For me, I think what I did is, okay, I don't like SUL. I prefer Temple Index if we're going to do that. For me, it was, okay, SUL, for those that aren't familiar, it's like on your chest. So if this is my gun, I actually form like a square. It's on my chest. It's gun down, has a little angle to it. So it's pointed away from me a little bit, but not enough where I flag everybody. So if doing a search and assess, you can rock that. For me, just due to my situation generally, is I have kids, I have young ones. For me, gun down probably won't work majority of the time. So I prefer just gun up because, again, there's usually little ones around. But to me, the biggest thing was, which I really noticed during search and assess was, so if I'm in SUL and I look around, both my hands are tied up. One I have under my gun. And having it down, my big concern was if I got tackled or jumped on. And it was just something that I was just thinking about during it was, if I'm in SUL, number one, I'm using both my hands. So they're both tied up at the moment if something were to happen, which I didn't like. And I had it down to where it seems like to me it'd be easier to trap my gun down or whatever versus up. Here I have at least one more hand to do something with. But to me that was verification of I'm not a really big SUL fan. Obviously, there's a time and place for everything. I'm not saying you should just walk around Temple Index all day. I get it. But for me, during the search and assess part that we worked on during the class, to me it was a really, and again, they dropped William Petty during the class too. Be sure to mention
Temple Index and Mofo.
Yeah, they made sure to mention Petty on the show in the class. But to me, that was one of the really good verifications of, whether you want to call it form or, a weapons manipulation. For me, it was something that at least confirmed in my mind of, hey, there's situations for it. To me, if I have to for some reason, do a search and assess, whatever, I just prefer gun up. Obviously, situational dependent. Get that. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of SUL.
I think, like you said, there's a time and a place for everything. I think the big thing I took going in is, like, you see all the search and assessing going on the internet with all these, cool guy doing the feature, and they really break down, like, what it's about. And really, it's not, just the cool guy feature. It's not breaking your tunnel vision or none of. It's like, you burn this guy down to the ground, yeah, his buddy might be over there and just watch you burn him down. Now he's running up on you, you know. It's like there's a lot that's got to happen. Maybe you know, you use 50% of your ammo, so now you have to get new bullets into the gun because you want to top it off. It's like there's a lot going on. So that taking that quick look and actually really looking, that was another big thing. You start getting into the motions, and guys are just turning around and stuff. Then they started doing stuff in the background, you know, to make sure you're watching this, you know, because that's the thing. It's like you just go through the motions of things, and you know that's not really driving that point home. And I think that was another big thing is all the information they give you. I never once during the class was like, why am I doing this? You know, I never felt that way. I was always constantly, I knew exactly why I was doing it. And I knew, you know, what I was doing, and they gave me options, you know, like I said, it wasn't like, hey, do it this way. This is the only way to do it. You know, it was like, here, you know, here's this way, here's this way, here's this way. Pick one, you know, go with whatever works easiest for you. If you load a magazine, there's already one in, you re-rack and throw that bullet on the ground, you know, don't worry about it. You know, that's what you do. That's your method. You know, it's like we all get caught up in this. Well, what's the best way? What's the, you know, what's this? What's that? It's like there's the right way and wrong ways, you know? So it's like do the right things. And I think, you set yourself up for success. And that's a big part of what they do is they give you the tools to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. So for example, would be like you work on for a tactical reload, like he's talking about, you can do the two hand. So, you know, drop the mag, grab it, pocket it, grab a new one real quick, boom, good to go back. You know, I just topped off. And then they also showed us, you know, the one hand method where you're grabbing your spare mag, you're forming a claw with your other finger. So then you're unloading your mag and then you're feeding in the new mag all using one hand, which it's a lot more work in my opinion to do that. And you're fumbling more, but they show you both. And then from then on there for the rest of the drills, run what you prefer, but at least try. You're going to try each one from there. Then if, hey, I don't like it, you know, you could run whatever you want, but you at least tried it. You said, hey, I didn't like it. Okay, that's great. Run the other one.
Yeah. No, I think the class structure was set up really well. Everything was laid out, you know, in a timely manner. You went through a lot of information very quickly, but like I said, you got all the information. You were never left sitting there confused, like, no, I'm not tracking on this. Should I just do it? Or, you know, it was like you were constantly getting that feedback. You were getting the one-on-one instructor support. If they seen you were doing something wrong, they'd come over and, you know, they'd help you out with it. But never once did I feel like, you know, that somebody was like talking down to you or something along those lines. Like I said, it was always positive, you know, all right, hey, you know, maybe you're doing this here, let me try this. I know with a lot of people, they were like, you know, I'm shooting a little low. You know, should I aim a little low? And they come up and be like, just hold your sights on and put a marker in there and pull the trigger for you and just start stacking rounds, you know? And it was like, okay, you know, that's what I said. I think when it comes to stuff like that, they really drive it home that it's, you know, it's you this is just the tool, you know, and this is the bigger tool here. It's using your brain, getting there, and like I said, working all these little steps separately and then forming them all together into one, you know, giant thing. And I mean, you'd be surprised, like there's the meltdown, you know, the U-track meltdown. That's a drill that you guys have to go there to try. But like I said, it's surprising where you're sitting there, they tell you what's going to happen, you go to do it, and it's like, you just go stupid all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah. And again, too, that it's definitely the first day was definitely extremely mental. The second day was definitely mental, especially when you got to put it all together. You know, if you look at it, you know, they talk about in the class too quite a bit is, you know, 3 seconds, 3 yards, 3 rounds. That's kind of the average shooting. So, you know, in that time, the amount of things that you might have to do is a lot. So, draw your gun, put rounds on target. Maybe you have to do, you know, some sort of maybe before you got to do an admin reload or, you know, some sort of emergency reload, or maybe you got to clear malfunction. There's a lot of things that can happen in those 3 seconds. And I think what they really do is this class sets you up for success if you continue to do your part in the training to be the guy that puts the odds, the most amount in your favor in the 3 seconds, the 3 yards, and the 3 rounds. I think that's really what this class does is it sets you up, if you do your part, to give you the best odds in that type of situation.
again, and it gives you a lot of tools to walk away with. That's the big thing on these classes. They're giving you tools like they're not going to tell you it all and, you know, or drill it into you in the one day. They want you to go home and be able to do this on your own. Like I said,
Yep.
at your indoor range. That's the key, is that you don't have to have this big wide open field where you can go and burn down 15 targets as quick as you possibly can. It's like, no, these are simple things you can do at your on your own. And like I said, it even drives home more of a dry fire at that point too, of what you really should be doing dry firing. You know, it shouldn't be sitting there doing these reps on your trigger and you know, you should be more working reloads and stuff like that at that point. I think it gave me just a whole new general outlook on how I looked at training, and really, like I said, wanting to go back more to like this, you know, like I said, back from, the shooting out of car windows and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, it made me want to go back to the basics again, you know, like just get back home and figure it out from there. Like I said, get back to just making all those good shots. That's key.
No, but that's something too. If you take the foundation handgun, you'll do the Utrecht meltdown, and the last one I melted down. Yes. Nobody passed it. Nope. Again, too, you can practice all this stuff individually, but putting it together, that's the hard part. That's the mental stress aspect that you're going to experience in this class, of getting that little amount of stress, that mental thinking of you got to run through 8 steps as fast as you can. When you're at step 1 and step 2 goes wrong, are you going to remember step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7? That's what you got to see if you remember. But there's so many more drills in each of these classes that, again, I don't want to give it all away, but literally everything you do in both classes, you could take home, you could take to a range, you could take in your backyard if you shoot there, and do them all. And, and again, I rated both classes 10 out of 10. It was I had a fantastic time. And something I should mention too is and again, props to the ladies for coming out and doing it. The first lady on the first class came by herself. So the chick has it, but it was something too, if you are worried about going to a training class and, hey, maybe you only have, an SR9 or, whatever gun and a Serpa, and you only have one more magazine, you're going to be fine. Because I think something special with both classes, everyone's on the same level. And they mentioned the class of it's a no ego zone. Everyone's equal. No one's going to be talking down to anybody else. No one is better than anybody else. And if you walk into the You Suck class thinking that, I didn't go and think I was better than anybody, but I thought I would do really well. I just thought I would perform. No, they will make sure, like, literally that class puts everybody on an even level. And that's what was so great about the class is everyone.
Both classes were just like that. Like you said, it didn't matter if you'd been shooting for 20 years or if you'd started shooting yesterday, you'd got your first gun. I mean, everyone was put on a level because it's against yourself. That's the biggest thing. Everything is against yourself. You can always be faster, you can always be more accurate, and you need to train to that level of perfection. You need to set your standards way higher. Like I said, it's getting to that humbling state in yourself. Like I said, it's taking yourself away from being like, oh, I'm a good shooter, I'm better than this guy over here, and putting it like, no, I'm not the best shooter, and that's where you need to constantly be working at it. Like they said, they're the instructors there, but they're always students as well. And that's what it's like. You get into the high speed stuff, like I said, that's all fun, and I would say, get into the basic stuff as well, because you're going to do a lot better at the high speed stuff. Like I said, I wish I had taken this class, a long time ago, because like I feel like I wasted a lot of ammo in my life, a lot of time.
And that's something too, they'll tell you too, is, get the basics down, go train with other people. Like I said, they plugged Steve Fisher during the classes. They plugged William Petty during the classes. They offered, say, hey, if you're looking for somebody else, email us. We'll recommend other people. We'll give you people that we recommend. So, they highly encourage training. They highly encourage carrying a gun everywhere. They highly encourage, you getting to know that gun, training a gun, know how to rule that tool. I just completely made up the rule of the tool thing, but that was really good. It was really good. But again, these classes were fantastic. Again, absolutely no regret. I can tell you it's worth the money. It's worth the rounds. Again,
I want to take every class they offer after that.
Yeah. The second day, we only shot maybe 200, 250, maybe somewhere in there the second day. So I think we walked out shooting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No.
We definitely shot a little more the second day. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you were burning targets down the second day for sure. So
Yeah.
there was quite a bit of, you know, like I said, neither round count was that crazy though. You know, it was a lot of learning. I mean, there was a lot of shooting too. Like, I don't want to like take away from that. There was a lot of shooting, but like I said, there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of knowledge bombs dropped, a lot of minds being blown. Like I said, I think everyone can benefit from taking both those classes. I mean, those are like, I would say once a year, you know, just to come back and, like I said, just kind of bring everything back into its perspective, you know. I know they definitely offer some other classes that, yeah, I mean, sounded awesome. You know, they've got the shoot house class and kind of a simunition where it's a, you know, shoot no shoot situations. I really wanted to take that less than lethal class because, you know, again, there's a lot more options until you get to the gun, you know. So having more tools in the shed. I mean, there's quite a few classes that they offer that, like I said, I will definitely be looking into after this point because, man, just great instructors. Again, like I said, I mean, honored to, like, yeah, call them friends at this point. They are two awesome dudes for sure.
No, absolutely. So we'll wrap it up there. I think we covered everything. I think there's a couple things we should also cover. I can't stress how fun the class is. So if you love Talladega Nights, you're going to love training with these guys because Ricky Bobby quotes are
All day.
everywhere. We all love fake Newtons. We all want to go fast. That was a lot of fun in the class. Also, social ammo was a new term that I learned. So social ammo,
like that.
social sharing.
For sharing.
For sharing. If you guys are getting that. So basically what at the end of every class, and I'm going to share the story because I think it's a great story to share. So when you talk about loading up a social ammo, he's talking about, you know, self-defense round, hollow points rounds. Pat Rod, if you guys aren't familiar with Pat Rogers, fix that. Go look up Pat Rogers, EAG Tactical, I believe EAG Tactical, EAG. But go check out Pat Rogers. But so he has students there for like a 5-day class, I want to say.
5-day class. Yeah.
5-day class. You know, we're talking like high-speed stuff, you know.
Yeah, shoot house classes. That's what these are.
So high-speed stuff. They leave the class. They go into a 7-Eleven. They don't take their gun with them. Both of them get shot.
And killed.
I don't think they died.
No, you don't think so? No. I thought they said they. But yeah, no. Either way, you know, they leave. They left the guns in the car and end up shot. You know, and that was a big thing for me. Is like most of these classes, it's like they want you to leave with like an unloaded gun, and it's not realistic because you showed up with a loaded gun, and the whole day you're so safe about guns, and you know, it's like you constantly got to, you know, make sure your gun's clear between each evolution. And that's what I really liked about this class is it was, you know, big boy, big girl rules. You know, you carry a gun every day. That's what you do. You know, obviously before you showed up to this class, that's what you were doing. So it's, you know, make sure you do it in a safe manner, but yeah, load up and, you know, because right outside this gate, there's bad guys that want to hurt you, you know. And I think that's another thing about day 2 is there was a lot of mindset in day 2, you know, whereas day 1 was, you're shooting accurately, where day 2 is a lot of driving home that mindset of, you know, you got to think these people are hard to hit and they're moving, and, you know, that's where all the day 1 stuff came in. You know, this isn't static targets. It's like today you might be shooting at static, but everything's in a progression from there. And that's why I said you need to break down to what level you're at as a person. You know, where are you? If you're not stacking rounds right now, you need to go back to that. You know, if you're past that and you can do that all day, then start to get up to that next tier. You know, constantly set goals for yourself, but always remember that, you know, it's always comes back to those basic fundamentals.
Yep. I can't recommend the You Suck the Gun again. The people there, I think there was somebody that had taken the class like 2 times already for the You Suck class. So it is a extremely popular class. If you can get into it, that class is great for beginning shooters, and that class is great for advanced shooters. As they tell you, you come in a 0, you leave it a 4, or, you know, whatever number. You come in at a 9.6. Okay, well, we'll even out some edges and get you, you know, to a 9.7, 9.8. Fantastic class. Again, same with the foundation handgun. I can't recommend that if you take the foundation handgun, take the You Suck before it.
Yeah, super safe classes, super fun. I mean, just, you know, like I said, great great guys. They make the environment, you know, and that's always nice. You got a joking environment because, yeah, there's a lot of times, like I said, you're feeling bad about yourself, honestly, you know, like, oh man, but you know, then you come back up joking, and it's a good time.
When you have to go hydronate and jam mags.
For sure, for sure.
Hydronate and jam.
They do have some awesome one-liners that are key quoted for them. I mean, if you think you can walk out and take a Sharpie marker and put a black dot on a piece of paper, no, that's MDFI trademark. You now have to pay royalties. So let's get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, just a bunch of awesome classes, awesome times. And I got to mention too, if you guys complete one of their classes, you get these just badass cards, MDFI alumni medal cards, just amazing, really cool things. Again, there are a lot of perks that you guys get if you take an MDFI class. Tons. MDFI is tons of sponsors, lots of special stuff. They're just for students. You can actually get discounts on ammo, which is huge. You can have the ammo delivered to you at the range. But I would say the only bad thing about the weekend would be the hamburgers at Centerline. If you go out to Centerline, do not get a hamburger.
I'm pretty sure they'd been in the freezer for probably 12 to 13 years. And I mean, it looked delicious on the grill for sure. And when he was like, "You want one of these?" I was like, "Yeah, I want one of those over a hot dog." And yeah, I ate that. That damn near ruined my day right there. Like, I literally almost threw up for the rest of the day. I'm sitting there trying to run drills, like, burping, like, oh man. I mean, no, there was only 4 of them that got cooked, and every person that ate it was not feeling good. Like, it tasted like cardboard. It was terrible.
Yeah, do not get the hamburgers out at Centerline. But it was a great time, great place. Again, I couldn't recommend it enough. But so to wrap it up here, I'm super pleased with all my gear. I don't think I would change any of my gear. Again, I would like to get slide serrations done on my carry gun from Doug from ATEI. I would definitely like to get that done. I also did realize I should say the foundation handgun, especially for my Gen 3 mag release, man, I was having problems. I really have to break my grip to get to that in a hurry. And so, you know, and again, that's a lot of time too, where you get to talk with other people and about what other gear they use. And then I got to shoot Keith's Glock 17, and he has the bevel done on it, as well as he has a reduction on the grip, which I'll definitely do on this gun. Because there's I definitely figure out that I do have some grip issues going on, and that I definitely need to do a little bit of reduction on my Glock. So I'll definitely be doing that. But otherwise, again, the holster that's almost out for everybody else ran flawless. The trigger was a question mark going in. Had no questions about that at all. Running that, as much as Petty said, my TLR1 did not fall off my gun. I know that. But no, I
Loctite all day. No,
no, and no, it was, I think, a really good validation, a good refresher to go back to the basics on both classes. Definitely, I need to know what I need to work on, but also the best part is I know what I need to. I know how to do it. I have the tools to diagnose what's wrong. I know what I have to do to get better, and I have all of the information to repeat it at the range. And I think that's the best thing walking away from the classes.
Yeah, same here. I mean, all the gear ran great. Like I said, I mean, no issues. I think even the tin coating on some of the parts, as we were doing a lot of the tap rack bang malfunctions, you know, a lot of the times I could just tap rack the empty casings out, where a lot of these guys were having to, you know, more tap rack, unload, reload, re-rack, you know, and I think that, again, I'm no scientist, so I don't know, but I feel like it had a play in there, a lot smoother operating of parts, you know. I think the feed ramps being polished and then tin coated helped to, you know, move that projectile up, get the next one into the barrel. So other than that, yeah, I think, like I said, the mag carrier worked great. I'm glad that that's out on the website now. What was the other part there?
Oh, nothing. I was just talking about gear, then just validation on it. So, but no, let's move into that real quick here, because obviously that's a big deal that you kind of threw up before we went out there, and obviously now it's really out there on your website, is tin coating. Now you're actually offering. I'll just let you talk. So you're doing PVD coatings. What is it? Why do people want it? What is PVD coating for those that aren't familiar?
All right, basically PVD coating is like a vapor coating that it's a treatment to metal. So unlike like Cerakoting or something along those lines, it actually bonds to the metal. And so it's in thin coats. We're talking like 5 microns is pretty much a max coat on these. So what you get is, obviously this would be the tin, but we offer a few different colors, and depending on also the color, their strengths. I mean, all of these are way harder than any factory finish. So you're talking over melanite, phosphorus, tenifer. All these coatings have a higher Rockwell actual scale than any of this. So also added benefits, you're going to get added lubricity because you get these small little lands and channels. And now when you put oil into these, they stay because they're so small and tiny. And actually, as the action works, it's going to polish itself more over time. You're talking it's a harder metal. So added cleaning features, you're talking, it's smooth, so you can just basically wipe stuff right off of it. And that was a big other validation that I seen going into this weekend, is I'd probably put about 500 useless rounds at this point. Like I say, I mean, everything before this just useless. That's another thing. I really walked away from this weekend just feeling like a better shooter overall for being able to just go back and, I mean, really be able to get those hits after that. So, but going back to the coatings, obviously, we offer a gold, which is our tin, which we offer in a high polish also, which now the difference on the high polish is you can send your OEM barrel. Like a lot of these, obviously, the better the metal, the better the barrel, or the better the end product is basically going to be. So you're talking a lot of these barrels you see are like your KKM barrels. They already come as a shine. So to do that in a matte is going to look, nice and shiny like gold. Except the problem with getting your stock barrel, because why, some of us don't really need to buy the added extra barrel, or so.
I don't want another barrel. I just want the barrel that I have coated.
Exactly. And I mean, with that, you get, where you have to remove the subsurface, and which is with such a small media that it makes no difference. It just takes off the top coating. Well, then we give it a nice high polish. So at this point, it goes through, you polish the feed ramps, and this is where you really start to see huge differences as you polish the feed ramps, the top of the actual breech. And these are all your spots that kind of hit these moving parts. And once you polish it and then tin coat it, it stays polished for life. So that's the big thing. If you want to get a good polish job done, you're going to go to your gunsmith. He's going to charge you $50 or whatever the case is. And yeah, it's going to run great for, a couple hundred rounds. And then it's like you're going to have to go back in and repolish it. With doing this with the coating, it stays for life. So for an extra $15 onto your package, you get a high polish, and that's what's really going to give you that super, super shiny look. And I've got pictures comparing the difference of a matte polish to a high polish, and you can see the difference is night and day there. And I mean, in running the parts this weekend, you could tell the difference between matte parts and your actual high polish parts. But that's tin coating. Obviously, we offer other colors. If you don't want the gold, you want to stick with a nice black subtle look, we offer color coatings in ALTIN, TLAIN, Tin C, and each one of these has a different color, a different hardness rating. Like I said, actually tin is one of the weaker hardness ratings on all these. So, and we're basically offering it cheaper than anybody else. I mean, I've looked at the competition out there. I've literally set the prices low because, I want to be able to get this to the hands of everyday people. It's an awesome coating. It does, like I said, wonders to the firearm. I mean, where you really see your money made is AR-15 bolt carrier groups, because, I mean, if you've ever cleaned one, you would know that it's a nightmare, especially if you're hard use on your guns. It's a nightmare even with some of the best cleaners on the market. So it's like getting these, and they're high traffic. I mean, you're adding extended life to all your parts at this point. So yeah, you can attest, Nick. We've got your barrel done, some of your internal parts. What did you think about it running this weekend? What are some of the added benefits you've seen?
I don't know if it'll come through on the camera, but it's butter smooth. Again, maybe what we'll do is here. So we'll just show it there. So it is. I haven't cleaned it or anything. So let's just take it apart here real quick. Let's get the barrel out. So for mine, so people can see, if you're on YouTube here, you'll be able to see it. So you see my locking block right there is coated, along with I have my pins. You will need to purchase a rear pin because you can't coat plastic. So, you know, you have to know that there, if you're going to get your, if you're going to go with their Glock package, Jesse's Glock package, you'll need to buy a rear metal pin because you can't coat plastic. So, but let's go ahead and then get my barrel out here. We'll throw that down. So also I had my extractor done, my firing pin, the plunger. Yeah. So let's go ahead. So I got my barrel out here. So let's get my barrel out here. And so you can see, obviously, back here where there's not much, it's still super shiny. But let's go ahead and just, I don't know, let's just do like, well, it's too shiny to get it good on the camera. So let's see if we can just pull it back and just, I mean, you can see it just, now it's, again, you can't see it because the dang barrel is so shiny. But no, it just wipes right off. Again, it just holding the barrel in my other hand, it comes off. So
yeah, I mean, as the carbon started to build, it just like would get to a point where it would basically goop itself off. Like, you know, it's like a round would jam in and it would just clean itself off, and that'd be the end of it. So
yeah, so here's my feed ramp. So you can see there where, yeah, this was caked up during, and then we ran on my function drills, and it actually cleaned it off for it. So it ran great. But no, it's, again, it looks good. And no, it's not a salient gun. That was something that I was asked a couple times too. No, it's not a salient because my gun runs. Oh, that was something we learned at the class. Bird.
No, like I said, I mean, you know, the nice part is it also gives it a nice custom look. And we're talking, we can do this to anything. This is basically what I would like to see replace Cerakote at this point. I mean, obviously you can't do the cool graphic design, but what you get is, I mean, you're getting a lot harder of a material, and it's going to have, added lubricity features, added cleaning features. I mean, it's scratch resistance, wear resistant. I mean, your pistol is going to look a lot newer. Like I said, obviously on my Glock, it's pretty well used. You can see a lot of holster wear. You can see a lot of, you know, just random scratches and character on it. Well, once you now get your slide serrations, stuff like that, you need to send it to, you obviously get it recoated. And that's where, for, you know, the price of basically $20 over a single color of Cerakote, you can now get it done in a material that's a lot harder, it's a lot stronger, and it looks a lot better. So you get the ALTI, and it comes out nice and dark, you know, blackish blue, like, you know, just midnight color, and it looks really good. Or as you can see kind of on mine, I don't know if it's probably not going to come up, but, you know, my extractor's done in like these tin Cs, and my pins are actually done in like a tin C, so it's like almost a stealth gray, you know, type color. It's not like a shiny chrome, but more of a gunmetal gray type color, and I think that looks really nice. All in all, like I said, it's a lot of benefits for really not a lot of cost. I mean, you're adding a lot of longevity to your parts. You're probably going to get a lot longer lifespan out of them. Like I said, you're not going to see things like broken firing pins. Like, I know that, you know, that's rare in a lot of handguns, but it's going to be even more rare when you start adding these hardened coatings. These are all on, if you know anything about machining, it's all your end mill bits, your drill bits. They coat all these because they take heat a lot better. They take the wear a lot better. They make cutting through things a lot easier. So it's now starting to see some of this come into the firearms world, and I'm pretty happy that we're jumping on it right away, because like I said, I think it's one of those things that you're really going to start to see a difference. It might not be in every cool guy gun right now, but I think as time goes on, and I mean, the thing about some of these Cerakote jobs is, you know, look up the difference, how thick Cerakote is compared to the 5 microns of tin coating. So you're definitely not going to be able to do any internals, anything like that. I mean, you're talking it's going to start to wear up, especially those high tolerance guns, you know, some of those 1911s that are pretty finicky and stuff like that. And another thing is, you know, Cerakote, it wears, it gets breaking down. You know, I've done the Duracoat to a couple of my rifles, and I've had some other parts Cerakoted, and, you know, over time, obviously it's not like spray paint or something like that, but it does. It starts to wear. It doesn't do well, especially in some of the higher heat areas, and it starts to break down. And again, there's other companies out there coating, but you're already talking a higher price. I know, because like I said, I went and set the prices around to the competition, and also you're talking quality. Now it's coming from guys that know about firearms, that know about guns. I've got a guy that used to work at Salient. He's doing most of our coating and polishing work. He knows, like I said, all about the actual
He
parts of
knows
the firearm that
guns.
are actually going into it. So he knows, you know, what parts can take heat, what parts can't. He's going to break those down. He's not going to do certain parts because he knows, you know. And like I don't want to get into it because, like I said, there's a lot of his competition who's not doing that. You're going to get parts, and like I said, you might not notice at 100 rounds what's going to happen, but at 500 rounds, they may have put a part into a machine that has a, you know, a little spring 500 degrees, and now that little spring gets heated up, it gets out of tension after, you know, take a paper clip and bend it so many times, it's going to happen. It just snaps, you know, and that's what starts to happen with some of these coatings. So this guy knows parts. He knows everything about, you know, most of the firearms. If he doesn't know a question, he's got guys that he can go to and figure it all out. So, I mean, we've teamed up. Like I said, his quality is unbelievable, and I'm just glad that he let us, you know, start to come in and put our name on it because I think it's going to be a huge thing here once it catches on and people start seeing, you know, really all the benefits that are there to it. I mean, take your stock parts, you know, your cheap parts. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, well, as I say, you don't have to buy another barrel or anything. But for those that are curious, if you want this done, because there's somebody out there in chat asking, where'd you get the coating done? I got it done from Jesse right here at 4C Tactical, right here. So if you go to 4ctactical.com, there's a PVD coatings right there. And he was cool enough to, the promo code that we run for getting a discount on holsters is still good on PVD coating. So if you go to his website and you order a package, you put in PRACTAC10, all capital letters. So PRACTAC, the number 1, the number 0. Put that all in. You guys get 10% off your coating. So if you want a gold barrel on a barrel that you already have, and by the way, he can do AR barrels up to 16 inches, you get 10% off your order right there, guys. So
yeah, like I said, barrels, BCGs, muzzle brakes. I mean, it's anything, and it's basically, yeah, you can't do. And nothing not metal, you know, I can't do coppers and plastics and things like that, but anything metal can be coated. And yeah, give
and
them
obviously if they have something that's not listed on your website, just they can just shoot you an email.
Yep, get a hold of me. We got small parts. We tried to make it easy on the customer, obviously, so you can kind of have that just click and go option, which a lot of, like I said, the competition doesn't have out there in it. So you can just come on, you know, we'll get you set up on all the information. You can do it without having to, you know, go back and forth an email with somebody. But if you want to, we can do that also. You know, like I said, you can come in and say, hey, you know, I've got this part and this part and this part. And that's another thing. If you want multiple orders, get a hold of us. We're going to work deals on shipping because, yeah, now how it's set up, it's item-based shipping. So, you know, that's how the holster business is ran, is item-based shipping. So we had to kind of translate that over into an easier package. Obviously, we want to insure all your stuff for this. We want to make sure everything gets back and forth correctly. And, I mean, another big thing is, like I said, now you can buy almost – I hate to use the term like lower quality parts, but you can find like boat carrier groups that, you know, maybe – don't have the proper staking, or don't have quite the nice finish of, like, you know, and that's where you send that bolt carrier in. We do all the unstaking and restaking of the gas keys. So if they weren't staked before, they're going to be staked after. And I mean, like I said, all your parts are coated except the actual extractor, you know, top, because something about lower heat, you know, science again, like I said. We've got the guy for it. This is, I'm not the actual guy coding the parts. So this goes through a couple of people, but it's all done in a quick turnaround time. That's the key also. You know, we're looking at about anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks from the time that we receive your parts. So it's all done pretty quick. I mean, everything is, like I said, to the exact standard of all our stuff that you get with our holsters. It's the highest quality. We offer, you know, an unlimited lifetime guarantee on it. You know, if for some odd reason anything ever goes wrong, of course you get a hold of us. We're going to take care of it like that for you, no problem. So yeah, if you're in the market for anything PVD coating wise, like I said, basically anything metal, check us out. I mean, you're not going to find a better deal, I promise you.
Yeah. So there it is, guys. Go to 4ctactical.com, make your barrel gold, just like that, and put in the code. When you put it in you put it in your cart. Go click on your cart, and then it'll say a coupon code PRACTAC10. So PRACTAC 10, all capital letters. You guys get 10% off your order, so you can have a gold barrel. And we're not. So if those are curious, coating starts at $75.
Yeah.
Before discount. Yeah. So to do a regular barrel is $80. You guys can get 10% off of that at 4ctactical.com. So go check that out, please, guys. And Jake, you're late. I see you out there in chat. But let's go ahead and we'll wrap it up here. So Jesse, dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for going to the classes with me. And for anybody out there that's curious too, for going to taking a training class, take somebody with you because it makes it a lot funner. Because man, because we just dog on each other, and that little guy. What's that little guy doing?
No, I mean, again, a great class. I'm glad I got to go with you. I'm glad, like I said, obviously we're friends and we get to go experience that humble pie together, because I would have hated for you to come back and be able to outshoot me after that class for sure. I mean, Jesus, because it is, like I said, it takes you back and just changes your entire perspective. So, again, I can't thank Keith and Trek enough, man. That was an awesome class. You guys are great. I definitely highly, highly recommend MDFI. If anyone is looking for any training, get a hold of them, because not only are they going to recommend their classes, of course, but they can get you in touch with a reputable trainer that knows the doctrine, that they trust, and that's going to put you on the right path. That's the thing. I think I seen a lot of things in this class that you'd heard other places that it was like you really got validation on, like, no, yeah, I can see why that wouldn't be right or that wouldn't work. I mean, like I said, you can go into people hating on the temple index, but I could see a lot of valid points. And, I mean, that was just one case and scenario. So I'm really happy that, we got to be with such reputable instructors, and again, kind of start the training there.
Yep. So that's going to wrap it up here for our AAR of our MDFI classes, the You Suck, It's Not the Gun, and Foundation Handgun. So again, go to trainmdfi.com. They have all their courses there, all their course descriptions listed there as well. So please go check that out. While you're there, you should go also to firearmsradio.tv and go check out the Gun and Gear Review podcast, because I think after some more classes here, I definitely want to get your tin coating up on the Gun and Gear Review podcast, because again, I think people, this stuff has been in use in other industries for a long time. It's finally make it to the gun industry. But so go check out the Gun and Gear Review podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, and visit all, of course, the other shows on the network by visiting firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. So of course, guys, I really want your feedback here, Practically Tactical. For your listeners out there that were at the class 2, if you have an AAR, email it to me and I'll post it up on practicallytactical.com. Or of course, all you guys, if you haven't been to practicallytactical.com, please go check it out, because there's other articles posted up on there not related to the show at all. And I'm about to post up another article from a guest writer. So also, please go check out practicallytactical.com. And of course, go to 4ctactical.com and pimp out your gun. Just pimp everything.
Yeah. Get you a holster, get you some coating.
And
go get you some training.
There we go.
Some good training. There's the key, though. There's the key. Don't just go pay for any old training. There's a lot of people out there that start, like I said, think they're instructors because, I don't know, they can shoot fast, or another day, Nick, another show.
Yeah, that's another show. We already talked about them before. So thank you so much to all the listeners that I met out there at the training. It was awesome seeing you guys out there. It was awesome being able to meet you. If I didn't give you guys one of my business cards, email me and I'll get you my info. Again, for all the other classes that we're signed up for more classes. We're going to get that info to you guys. So if you guys want, come join us for these classes, man. It's going to be a good time. So check out the upcoming shows here and some other special stuff we got coming up. We'll be in some more classes and get some more info to you guys here and get some more AARs out to you guys. So as always, guys and gals, I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for listening, as I greatly appreciate it. And I'll catch you next week for another episode of Practically Tactical. I'm still sunburned from the class, but we're still live too, by the way. That's another thing too. Get sunscreen. Get sunscreen.
I even had it on, but white guy problems. I was freaking burned still. Like right here on my forearms just from holding the gun. Look at that. Yeah, just burned right there.
And we're still live, so
just doesn't want us to shut off tonight.
I know, apparently. Just
okay.
Still going.
Still going.
Still going. Just awkwardly. There we go.
Yeah. No. Still live. I see it up in the corner.
Let's try this again. We'll see if it'll actually go off air.
Shut down.
Emergency reload. Emergency reload.
The NSA now has control.
I'm sure we're on a list anyways. I'm pretty sure. But I felt like there was someone watching me the whole time during the show. I should have scanned and assessed more, maybe, during the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think anybody would be watching. I thought we'd just throw it at a random time. I didn't know people would actually see this. Okay, Jesus, no.
I don't know what happened there. I just got kicked off or something.
No. Oh, no.
The show is never going to end. All right, guys, we're going to be broadcasting live for 24 hours.
Oh, my God.
We're going to be talking about tin coating for the next 24 hours.
I guess so.